It's so surreal being here right now. I used to watch TED Talks to improve my English just a couple of years ago. It's so surreal that I cannot believe that I almost did not make it. Here to Vietnam, I mean. Less than 12 hours before my flight was scheduled on November 24th, 2025, the airline contacted me and said, "Canceled." I was like, "What? You're kidding, right?" Okay, so I called my team, we scrambled, we managed to get another flight for the 26th, and everything was going to be okay, right? Everything is going to be okay. Just kidding. No, everything was not okay. 15 hours before that flight, canceled again. The amount of panic I went through, you won't believe it. These were months, if not years, of practice and preparation. The practice and preparation that went into getting to a pageant, getting to Miss Charm. And now everything was going to go away just because they canceled my flight? No! I understood why they did it. It was not safe at the moment. Things were happening in Venezuela. I understand it was nobody's fault. And I know nobody would have blamed me if I didn't get to come. But I was not going to let that happen. All my suitcases were ready. 7 of them. I had 7 suitcases. I brought them all along. My dream was 17,000 kilometers away. Oh wait, no. Anyway, yeah. My dream was over there, and I kept on fighting, and I became a detective. I started calling anybody that I knew, anybody that could give me an answer, anybody that could say anything to me that could help me. At the end of the day, in the middle of the night, quite literally, 12 p.m., I left my city, went to a different city, boarded a small plane to Colombia. From Colombia, I went to Panama. From Panama to Istanbul to Vietnam. And I managed to get here. Over 48 hours later, I started my journey in this competition. I got to Vietnam, and this country was witness of one of the most important triumphs of my life, becoming Miss Charm 2025. And I tell you this story because it stands in total contrast to something that happened a couple of years before. So in 2017, I was 17 years old, and I had one dream. I wanted to go to Berklee College of Music in Boston, USA. That was my whole dream. I've always wanted to study music, and I've always wanted to study music there. However, I had one little problem. I was a terrible procrastinator. I left everything for the last possible second. I left everything to the last minute. And I know many of you can relate to me. We do that, and it's terrible. It's not great. So my application, I sent it probably the day of the deadline. My supporting documents, maybe a couple hours before the deadline. It was pretty bad. However, I got my audition, and I did awesome. Not to brag, but I really felt good in it. I really felt great. I thought, this is it. Maybe I'll get it. And I did. I got accepted to my dream university, and I was ecstatic. I was so happy. My family was super surprised and happy as well. Nobody could believe it. Everybody was full of joy. However, I kept on looking at the email. And then my heart sank. Where's my scholarship? So the thing is that because everything was sent so late, the system could not trust that I was a safe investment, right? Because I literally told them to their faces, I do everything at the last possible second. The opportunity did not slip away. I personally pushed it away. How could you expect the system to trust you if you don't show that you're reliable? Okay? So what happened here is a terrible but very honest consequence that came not through words but through action. And I tell you all this, I compare these two things because my Berkeley story is definitely a show of what happens when you don't show up. But my Miss Charm story is a story of what happens when you do. So have you ever thought to yourself, I want this opportunity, I want this internship, I want this dream project, I want to access this network of brilliant people, and you don't, you ask yourself, why not me? I finished my studies, I'm intelligent, I have the talent, I have the qualifications. When will it be my chance? When will I get my turn? When will I get my lucky break? And here's the insight those two stories told me. The people with the resources, and with this I mean the CEO, sometimes the admissions officer, sometimes a teacher, their biggest risk is not losing money. It's losing reputation on somebody that they cannot trust. So let's start building that, okay? But first of all, we have to think about something. Before they trust you, who are you? This is your inner foundation. So first of all, we have to know ourselves. What is your inner strength? Are you friendly? Are you funny? Are you detail-oriented? This will be your core. This will be the stone in which you build your skyscraper. Remember, you cannot build a skyscraper on sand. Then you have to trust yourself. Because one thing is to know that you're resourceful. Another thing is to know that you will be able to handle a crisis. I knew I was resourceful. I did not 100% trust that I was going to be able to manage a crisis of 2 last-minute flight cancellations, one after the other. But I did. And then, very important, you must show yourself. Opportunities will not find you sitting in the couch at your house watching TV. You have to get out there, get to the world, and show the world what you're made of. This might be a small job. This might be an opportunity to network with brilliant people. This might be a charity event, but you must go out there and show yourself, show the world your talents. Because if they don't know about it, how will they give you a chance? They cannot trust a ghost. They cannot trust a silhouette. They need to get to know you. Now, once you show yourself, we have to understand that resources are not only money. Resources are access to specialized knowledge, access to networks of brilliant people, access, and especially the trust that they give you to fail and learn. And so we start seeing this interesting thing, which is the paradox of the busy person. Why do always, the best opportunities go to the busiest of people? And this is because busyness is not necessarily seen as exhaustion in the business world, in the world in general. It's seen as proof. It's seen as evidence that this person delivers. Why would anybody give somebody opportunities if they cannot do it? Busy people show that they can do the thing and that they will do it. And so, this is what I call trust capital. Think about it as financial capital, but here, every single coin is an action. It's a promise that you kept. It's a timeline that you kept, not like me. It's and maybe sometime that you over-delivered at a task. This is your trust capital. And as your trust capital grows, the physics of opportunity change in your favor. Slowly, you start seeing that opportunities start finding you instead of you having to run after them. So, which are the moments to get trust capital? You might say to me, Anna, how will I gain trust capital? I'm just starting out. I'm just finishing my studies. Like, when will I be able to do this? But you know, this is the best moment because the expectations are low. They're not super high, so you don't have that much risk within you. Here are the golden moments to get trust capital. When you are a nobody, when your job is small, excel at the nameless task. Excel at the little things. If you are an intern and your job is to fetch the data, maybe this time, fetch the data, analyze it, and suggest for insights. Do a little bit more and be the best you can at it. When you make a mistake, oh my God, guys, if you have seen the Miss Trump pageant where I competed, you know, I made a lot of mistakes, okay? I tried to be funny and all, but it was terrifying, actually. I fell 4 times on stage during the evening gown portion of it. And did I hide it? I did not. I laughed at myself, looked at the audience, said, I'm okay, no worries, and kept going. Sometimes how you handle a crisis and how you handle your slip-ups can be the reason why they trust you. It's because they know you will understand that you did it, you will not shy away from it, and you'll do better next time. When you aren't asked. So during the Miss Trump competition, for example, I was not asked to translate for my fellow contestants, but I did anyway. When you get maybe a new employee, a new hire at your work, train them without asking, without getting asked. Do a little bit more. You know, it may seem like a lot, but you don't have to force it too much. Doing a little more will always get you farther away. And when you help others succeed, I really want to talk about this one. Because trust is not vertical. It's not only with your teacher, with your boss, or with the president, I don't know. It's not always vertical. You have to create a reliable network of people around you. Do something for somebody else without thinking too much about what's going to get to you. When I did this in the competition, I made sure I had around me more than just competitors. I had allies. Very important. Now, how to access opportunity? We need to get practical with this. We need to build a system, okay? So within yourself, for yourself, build a proof of work. And with this, I mean, in your portfolio, don't just write the titles. I spoke at a conference. No, that's not enough. Show your data. Show proof, show evidence of what you actually really did. For example, I would not just write, I got to Vietnam. I would write, I avoided a crisis due to 2 canceled flights and managed to get across continents to an international competition. Build your trust through undeniable data. Then master communication. This is so important. Be the clear voice within the storm. Communication, proper communication is kindness. Remember, when you're in a project, when you're working with other people, it may feel like a lot, but make sure you communicate properly. And whenever you think, maybe I should not talk to them about, yes, talk to them. Do it anyway. It's better to communicate more than to communicate less. And then manage your energy. Guys, this is so important, especially because we are young and we think sometimes this opportunity will never come again. However, it's very important that we know when to say yes, enthusiastically and 100%, and when to say no, because we're saving energy in order to not betray the commitments we already have. Do not sacrifice the quality of your engagements because you have too many. Be good at everything you can do instead of being mediocre at more things. Very important. And in your ecosystem, build a goodwill bank. I'm going to go back to being nice to people. When you do things for people without thinking, without expecting something in return, you start building your goodwill bank. And this will start building your own personal network of reliable allies. This way, you will not only get new, special, important contacts, but you will naturally make people want to help you in the future, whenever you need them. Do not expect it, but it will naturally happen. And feedback loops. Whenever you finish a project, whenever you finish maybe a chapter of a project, ask for feedback. Again, not only vertically, not only with your boss, with your peers as well. And very important, and we go back to the beginning, with you as well. Sometimes you already have the answers you're seeking. Think to yourself, what could I have done better? Then ask somebody, are you satisfied with my work? And if I could, what could I have done better? This will not only show other people you want to improve, but also help you improve. Next. So, wait, this already happened. Okay. Conclusion. Trust cannot be begged for, bought, or faked. When I was crowned Miss Charm, when literally Miss Rashmita was putting the crown on my head, I did not think about the glamour. I did not think about the glitter. I did not think about the pretty lights. I thought about the promises that I kept. I thought about the sacrifices that I made. And I thought about my family who was there supporting me every single step of the way. Trust cannot be bought, faked. At the end of the day, opportunities are not a gift, are not a reward, are not given. Opportunities are entrusted. The crown was just the world saying, I trust you with this. It was an organization that said, we trust you with this title, with this responsibility. So my call to action today for you will be stop chasing opportunities. It's exhausting and it doesn't work. I know that sounds like a lot. However, if you start building your trust capital today, you will see that you will become a person that opportunities cannot afford to miss. You will stop chasing and start attracting naturally. Build your trust capital today, deposit by deposit, action by action. And you will see that at the end of the day, the undeniable proof of how reliable you are is the key to all chances. Thank you.